Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a beer, it's time for some Path of Exile discussion. It is day 8 of Scourge League spoiler season, and it has been a very, very, very quiet day. There's been very little to cover, so we'll get through what there is, and then this will be a short video compared to a lot of the others in this series where there's been more to talk about. So, 2 pieces of news. The first one is the finish of the Expedition League. The exact time has been announced. So for those of you that are PDT time zone, it's at 1400 hours on Monday, the 18th of October. For those of you that are in Australia, like I am, it'll be Tuesday morning. So that is 7.5 days or so from the time that I am recording this video, maybe a little bit more than 7.5 days. So you've got 1 week left to complete any challenges that are outstanding that you still want to do. And just a bit of a heads up that buying carries for some of these challenges is getting a lot more expensive because a lot of people who just have no interest in standard at the moment are throwing enormous amounts of currency at buying their last challenges from other players. So things like Sacred Blossoms are really getting expensive, and if you haven't got one yet, you might want to skip on that challenge. And so the second thing is the tiny bit of information that we got about the Delve changes. So Delve is being overhauled quite a bit in 3.16. The key thing that they're doing is they are compressing the low Delve depths. One common complaint, and I certainly was one of many people to complain about this in the past, was that in order to get to the parts of Delve that feel like they're engaging gameplay once you've got a reasonably powerful character, when I say a reasonably powerful character, let's just say a character that can smoothly complete tier 14 maps. So once you get to that point, you don't really get anything engaging in the Delve mines until about depth 250 or so. So depths 1 through 170 or so at the moment are monster levels that are lower than 83. However, once you get to 170 or so, 170 to 250 will be monster level 83, but the zones will have 1 or 0 map mods in them generally. And sometimes there'll be 2. These won't be the traditional map mods, they'll be the Delve mods, but those Delve mods are of comparable danger to a map mod. And what this means is that you are just basically forced to play on autopilot, forced to burn a whole lot of sulfite, just really doing a whole lot of trivial content. Now, it's good that that trivial content is there as an option, but it was always forced. And so the Delve overhaul is going to squish down a lot of that section of the Delve mines so that you much more quickly get to the harder parts of it. And that is going to mean that you'll be able to get to whatever your current skill level is. You'll be able to get to content that is engaging to your skill level much more quickly. However, one of the other changes they're making, so that's the main sweeping overhaul, is that they are reviewing some of the biome mods. So biomes are the little contiguous sections that have the same mods as each other and the same base sort of background area as each other. So you'll have here, you've got this frost zone that has this map node in it. Here you've got a magma zone that's off towards the end of the screen. There's another one in the southeast of this layout. But one of the key things that they're doing is adding new mods to some of these biomes that are related to the bosses. And so this is a Primeval Ruins, which is basically all the Crystal King suburbs, and this has a mod. It has a sort of, this might be one mod, this might be more than one mod. A unique area contains a unique boss. Unique bosses hits are always critical strikes, and unique boss drops 17 additional fossils. So let's start with this. Unique bosses hits are always critical strikes. In Path of Exile, critical strikes are pretty scary. They only do 130% of base damage, so that doesn't sound all that scary until you realize that a lot of bosses have attacks that can sort of chunk you for 3/4 of your life. What's 3/4 plus 30% of 3/4? It's very close to 100% of your life, and if the boss rolls high, then you go squish. Additionally, this zone has 44% to monster critical strike multiplier, so that means that all basic hits are doing 174% of damage. But there's worse. The other things that critical strikes do are they inflict elemental ailments. So you're going to have All is going to be shocking if he's able to do lightning damage, igniting if he's able to do fire damage, but much more reliably and much more annoyingly, he's going to be freezing all the time. All the time, sorry about the pun. So this is going to be a really, really, really scary encounter. I would suggest that only a player with a lot of experience with the All fight will be able to do this. with always crit. But this is going to create this interesting push for cooperation between players, where someone that is, it's clear speed oriented will often come across an all that they can't beat. And then they'll be able to work together with someone that's got a dedicated boss killer character and that might have a lot more experience with the all fight, that doesn't necessarily have the clear speed to find all as quickly, but when they do find him, they can beat him. So I think this will be an interesting dynamic for trade leagues in particular. In solo self-found, of course, you might want to consider having two characters if you're going to do any serious delving. One that's capable of enduring the punishment from a powerful all like this, and one that is capable of speedily clearing through the zones. The other thing that's going to be a consequence of this, of course, is that some of All's drop exclusive uniques will probably be much, much, much more available in 3.16 than they've been in the past. So an increase in the frequency of encountering All is going to crater prices on All's Uprising. It's hard to know just how much this is of an effect this is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if All's Uprising goes from sort of the lower end of power gamer only territory prices to something that's much more affordable, and so something that players can count on including in builds a lot more. We'll have to see on that, but definitely keep that item in mind. Lastly, there'll be two other projects I've got going, so that's the end of the news part of the thing. There's a guide to the Maven encounter that I am working on still. I wasn't happy with it, so it's not finished yet. And additionally, I have discussed a little project that I had an idea for with Neversink. Neversink is a loot filter designer. He's behind the website filterblade.xyz, which is probably the most frequently used external tool for Path of Exile. And it's a great site for designing loot filters. The idea that I had was to come up with minimum tiering for every divination card in the game. And I'm likely to do this over on my stream on Twitch. And the idea being that there's a lot of price manipulation that goes on in Path of Exile, a lot of sort of bad faith listings where people put up an item, list an item that's genuinely worth 20 chaos at two alteration orbs, and then sort of trick PoE.Ninja into aggregating that, oh, this is being sold at this price, it must only be worth 2 alterations, which can then cause some inaccuracies in loot filters. So I'm going to go through all the div cards in the game and come up with minimum tiers for all of them. But that's all I got at the moment. If you've got comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, may your Valorbs have interesting results.